Throughout the vast majority of human existence, there were no private bedrooms, swiping profiles, elaborate weddings with coordinated dances, painful icebreaker texts, sweet scents, fancy diners, or self-help relationship clips. Yet, despite lacking all of this, your predecessors still succeeded in crossing paths, sparks flying, and continuing the family line. Offspring, sustaining our species for upward of 300,000 years, prompting a curious riddle. How did prehistoric people actually find mates? We don't mean the physical mechanics, which are straightforward. The mystery lies in how they located companions and captivated one another. Connected, formed deep bonds, and brought up families in an environment totally untouched by contemporary civilization. Indeed, if you transported a modern human back 40 millennia into a hunter-gatherer clan, you would immediately realize that their entire concept of love was utterly foreign. First, let's establish a vital truth. For the vast majority of our existence, humans didn't dwell in massive societies. Farming only emerged roughly 12,000 years ago. Prior to that, people roamed in tight-knit groups of 20 to 50, constantly traversing the wilderness in search of sustenance and protection. Your social sphere was incredibly small, where everyone knew your name. Every dispute, bond, romance, and falling out played out publicly before the tribe. There was no escaping a humiliating moment, nor could you simply vanish. Even if you made a fool of yourself, there was no escaping them. You'd still wake up side by the very same campfire the following day. Researchers studying contemporary foraging tribes have observed that these communities are intensely collective. Band members spent almost every waking hour together, trekking and tracking game as a unit. Jointly, dividing their meals, which altered the entire nature of attraction. Modern courtships rely on polished digital profiles, selected snapshots, and brief text exchanges. Yet our ancestors crossed paths constantly during the natural rhythm of daily life. Every action was scrutinized. How one bore pressure, shared hard-won meals, endured grueling treks, or reacted to sudden threats. In these tight-knit communities, social standing was paramount. Incredibly, possessing a sharp sense of humor could be far more advantageous than raw physical might. Researchers have long observed that within hunter-gatherer societies, individuals who can tell a great story or crack a good joke are seen as prime romantic partners. Specifically, research on the Philippine Agta tribe revealed that gifted narrators are highly prized as spouses and ultimately boast higher reproductive success than their peers. Let that sink in. Being able to amuse others around a campfire might have actively steered the course of human evolution. It is highly logical. Before the existence of wealth, transport, or social achievements, character was what truly stood out. You couldn't mask yourself with material goods because no one actually possessed very little. An entire nomadic camp typically held fewer items than a modern-day kitchen. In this way, individuals were measured by their actions. Who distributed the game after a successful hunt? Who remained steady when peril struck? Who stepped in to soothe a weeping child? Who provided a sense of security for the community? Such characteristics were vital because staying alive required teamwork. Alone in the ancient wilds, an individual faced swift death. Our ancestors thrived because the collective endured, fundamentally reshaping the dynamics of attraction, while today's relationships center heavily on a pair. Historically, unions were deeply communal, a companion integrated into the wider tribe, not just your individual life. Researchers studying Tanzania's Hadza tribe observed a fascinating pattern. Partners rarely spent private time together compared to modern standards. Every moment of existence was shared, leaving no room for solitude. Picture trying to spark a romance when you are surrounded by 30 armed relatives roasting tubers over an open flame. This is where the story takes a fascinating turn. Researchers previously believed that early humans engaged in brutal rivalry for partners. While cinema frequently depicts Neanderthals brawling with clubs over mates, actual archaeological discoveries show a far more nuanced reality. Within early foraging groups, women possessed far greater autonomy in selecting mates than was previously believed. In southern Africa's Juhawansi society, women regularly turned down suitors they didn't care for. Ending a marriage was common and carried no social stigma. When partnerships soured, couples simply parted ways without conflict. This behavior offers key insights into ancestral courtship, showing that while humans naturally form pair bonds, they have always cherished the freedom to leave beings, but not strictly bound to lifelong partners. Our ancestors formed highly adaptable connections. Some partnerships lasted decades, while others were brief. From an evolutionary standpoint, this variation makes perfect sense. Nurturing human offspring is an immense challenge. Compared to the rest of the animal kingdom, our infants are remarkably vulnerable. While a newborn foal can stand up just hours after birth, a human infant lacks the strength to even support its own head. In fact, it takes over 10 years for our children to reach self-sufficiency. This requires a massive commitment. Consequently, we evolved powerful emotional bonds to keep partners united through the long years of child-rearing. Love is far more than just art and romance. It is a biological survival mechanism designed to keep two exhausted parents from abandoning one another while dealing with a crying toddler. Out on the ancient savannas, offspring transformed our entire social structure. A major evolutionary divide between humans and other apes is cooperative care. Mothers never reared their infants in isolation. Grandparents and others lent a vital hand. From older siblings to extended relatives, everyone pitched in to help. Researchers often describe our species as the primate that requires a community. This cooperative upbringing might also clarify why women undergo menopause, a phenomenon that is exceptionally unusual in the natural world. This concept is known in evolutionary biology as the grandmother hypothesis. It posits that grandmothers became so essential for rearing offspring that an extended post-reproductive lifespan directly boosted our species' overall survival. We might owe our grandmother's existence to the fact that early childcare was a community effort. But when it came to choosing partners, what did our ancestors look for? Interestingly, some of their preferences mirror our own. While vitality, power, and self-assurance played huge roles, survival instincts also dictated our ideas of attractiveness. Take body fat, for instance. Its appeal shifted depending on how scarce food was. In regions prone to famine, carrying extra weight didn't represent poor health, but rather signaled robust vitality and resilience. Physical scars also carried deep social status. Rather than being seen as flaws, hunting wounds proved a person's courage and skill. Personal scent was also far more significant back then. Unlike modern people, who mask natural body odors with perfumes and deodorants, our ancestors did not. In reality, our sense of smell is incredibly sharp. Research reveals we are unconsciously drawn to the scent of mates with distinct immune genes, which helps ensure stronger, healthier children. Without you even knowing, your nose has been guiding your romantic attractions all along. Allies throughout our shared history. Picture an ancient evening long ago, where a tribe huddles by a blazing campfire beneath a pitch-black sky glittering with infinite stars. Free from screens, power grids, or rumbling engines, there were only voices, laughter, chirping insects, and embers popping in the dark. This was the cradle of human intimacy. Scientists believe that harnessing fire fundamentally reshaped how we related to one another. Before its warmth, the night was a time of pure peril for our ancestors. Before, they remained silent and vigilant against predators. But fire brought protection, giving early humans precious extra hours past twilight. During this shared time, conversation flowed, legends awoke, jokes spread, and music was born. Intimacy itself grew around the embers, where our ancestors watched each other grow old. Aging caught up with them much quicker. Human existence was incredibly harsh, shaped by endless trekking, physical trauma, unmedicated labor, dry spells, and famine. Consequently, a 35-year-old forager had aged far more than a modern desk worker of the same age. Even so, the community held elderly members in high esteem. Indeed, survival hinged on deep expertise. An elder understood migration paths, toxic flora, wildlife habits, and seasonal shifts. True capability was crucial. Trustworthiness was vital. Intellect was key. Gradually, human courtship became bound to a rare strategy: partnership. While the animal kingdom relies on brute strength to survive, human success hinges on social intelligence. Are you able to foster loyalty, preserve deep connections, and prove yourself reliable to others? Could you get along in a tribe without causing friction? These behaviors evolved for safety, and they persist today. In fact, contemporary romance is quietly steered by primal drives forged millennia ago. Self-assurance suggests capability. Wit implies intellect, while empathy hints. Dependability. Jealousy stems from a fear of losing an emotional investment. Love functions as a bonding tool meant to hold families secure. Beneath our smartphones, towering cities, and contemporary culture, your mind is still operating on primitive programming. And perhaps the most bizarre aspect of this is that our ancient ancestors likely shared an emotional landscape far closer to ours than we tend to think. They fell in love, engaged in playful courtship, and endured the sting of rejection. They suffered from broken hearts, likely spending sleepless nights hoping their feelings were mutual. Excavations have revealed prehistoric graves where individuals were interred in loving embraces. Within certain iconic tombs, traces indicate that floral tributes were arranged beside the deceased tens of thousands of years ago. This reveals a profound sense of loss, proof that someone paused to mourn, honor, and remember. Despite our sophisticated technology, we are still ruled by the same primal feelings that flickered around prehistoric campfires. At our core, the human narrative remains unchanged. We are simply vulnerable creatures seeking comfort and companionship in an unpredictable universe.